The average Australian household is now worth $1.5 million. If you just choked on your coffee, you're not alone. That number sounds completely unhinged, and for most people watching this, it should. Today, I'm breaking down exactly what the average Aussie has at every age in 2026, why that headline number is lying to you, and where you actually sit compared to people your age. First thing you need to know, there's a massive gap between average and median, and almost every article you read mixes the two up. Average is the total wealth divided by total households. A few billionaires will pull this number sky high. The Australian average is around $1.56 million per household, according to KPMG's latest analysis of ABS data. Median is the middle person. Line up every Aussie household from poorest to richest. The one standing dead center is the median. That number is roughly $700,000 and it has barely moved in the last 5 years. So when you see average net worth thrown around, just remember, the top end is doing the heavy lifting. If you feel behind looking at the average, you probably aren't. You're being compared to a distorted number. With that out of the way, let's go age by age. All figures from the KPMG ABS analysis for 2024 to 2025, released earlier this year. As a quick overview before we break each one down, under 25 sit around 30 grand. 25 to 34s average 550,000. 35s to 44s sit just under 900,000. 45s to 54s a clear 2 million. The 55s to 64s peak at about 2.3, and the 65 plus group starts drawing down from around 2.4. Now let's go through what each band actually looks like. For under 25s, the median net worth lands somewhere around 25 to 35 grand. Almost all of it is in super you didn't choose to put there. If you've got a few grand in savings on top of that at this age, you're already ahead. Don't stress this bracket. Time is the real asset. For 25 to 34-year-olds, here's where it gets interesting. This age group has an average household net worth of $550,000. That's a 63% jump in just 5 years, the biggest gain of any age group in the country. So what happened? The pandemic happened.
It comes from China.
Interest rates went to basically zero in 2020 and 2021. Anyone in this bracket who scraped together a deposit and bought a place rode an enormous property price wave. Their 500 grand house in 2020 is worth 7, 8, sometimes even 900,000 now. The catch. This group is also the most leveraged in Australia. Average loan balance of about $346,000. Total assets of around $899,000, with a big chunk of that net worth being locked in property they still owe a fortune on. Super at this age averages 151 grand per household. If you're single and sitting on 60 to 70,000 in super by age 30, you're roughly on track. 100 plus means you're crushing it. Where to focus this decade? Aggressive super contributions, building a share portfolio outside of your super, and not blowing your income on lifestyle inflation. Every dollar you invest at 28 is worth about $80 at 60, assuming 7% returns. The math is brutally in your favor if you start now. For the 35 to 44-year-olds, this is your peak debt years. Average household wealth in this bracket sits just under $900,000. Average debt is $531,000, this being the highest of any age group. If you're feeling stretched in your late 30s, welcome to statistically the most financially intense decade of your life. Mortgage, maybe kids, maybe heck still ticking away, trying to grow your super, and trying not to lose your mind. The average property holding here is around $1,052,000. Super balances jump from 151 grand in the previous bracket to 289,000. Progress is happening. You just can't feel it because the debt is sitting right next to it. My honest advice for this bracket, stop checking your net worth monthly. Mortgage paydown plus super contributions plus property growth compounds quietly. You'll wake up at 45 and the picture looks completely different. If you're behind here, the lever that moves the needle most is your income. Not Uber Eats budgeting, income. Promotion, side business, switching your jobs, negotiating a raise. That's where the gap actually closes. 45 to 54-year-olds. This is where it starts looking good. Your average property wealth peaks here at 1.443 million. Shares average 278,000 and super 509,000. Total wealth comfortably over 2 million for most. This is where financial work of your 20s and 30s finally shows up. If you're 45 plus and feeling behind, two levers actually move the needle. This would be maximizing concessional super contributions, which is 30,000 a year for most people in 2026, and getting your mortgage paid down before you stop working. Also, the catch-up super contribution rule still exists. If you haven't used your full cap in the previous years and your super balance is under 500,000, you can roll these unused caps forward for up to 5 years and contribute even more. Talk to an accountant. It's one of the best legal tax breaks in the country, and most people do not use it. Now we're heading into pre-retirement crunch time, the 55 to 64-year-old. Average property wealth, $1.529 million. Your average super, 756,000. The super number here is the one most people care about. ASFA reckons a comfortable retirement needs about 595,000 in super for a single person and just under 890 for a couple. The average in this age group beats both, but averages lie. Median super balances in this bracket are way lower, sitting closer to 200 to 300 grand. If you're in this bracket and your super is under 300 grand, you're behind the median, not just the average. That's not the end of the world. The age pension exists. Downsizing your house and putting up to 300,000 into a super tax-free under the downsizer rule is a legitimate strategy that most people don't know about. If you're well over the average here, your concern isn't accumulation anymore. It's tax efficiency and drawdown strategy, two completely different conversations. For a quick aside before we move on, look at the asset mix across every age band. Property is doing the heavy lifting at every stage, super being second. Shares and cash are basically rounding errors until you hit your 50s. What this means, the wealth ladder in Australia is built on property and super. Everything else is incremental. Now, for the 65 plus year olds, this is the drawdown phase. Net worth starts declining as super gets pulled and homes sometimes get downsized. The 65 plus group grew their wealth 43% over 5 years, the slowest of any group, mostly because they're spending it, not earning it. The wealth transfer is also starting. Boomers are estimated to pass $3.5 trillion down over the next 20 years in Australia alone. If your parents are in this bracket, having blunt conversations about estate plans is uncomfortable but important. It's better to have it now than during a crisis. One uncomfortable truth before we wrap. The traditional middle Australian household, the 300 to 900 grand wealth bracket, is actually shrinking, down to under 28% of households from over a third a decade ago. People are either moving up into the higher brackets thanks to property and shares, or staying stuck at the bottom because they couldn't get on the ladder in time. The middle is hollowing out. What this means for you, the single biggest determinant of where you end up isn't just your income, it's whether you own assets such as property, shares, and super. If you only have wages and cash, inflation will slowly start grinding you down. If you have appreciating assets, they do the work while you sleep. So, what do you actually do if you're feeling behind right now? I have 3 things. The first one is maximizing your super. It's the most tax-effective wealth vehicle in the country, and most people under-contribute. Even an extra 100 a week salary sacrifice from age 30 adds up to over 500 grand at retirement. Number 2, building a share portfolio outside of your super. You can set up an auto invest so you don't even have to look at it. Number 3, if you can buy property without breaking yourself, do it. Not because property is magic, but because forced savings through mortgage payments combined with leverage is unreasonably effective for most Australians. If you can't, don't despair. The ETF route works fine, just be consistent. You're never as behind as the headlines make you feel, and you're never as ahead as the average makes you look. The median person your age is probably struggling more than they admit, and the rich person your age is probably less rich than their lifestyle suggests. Run your own numbers, set your own targets. The data is just a starting point. As a quick disclaimer, none of this is financial advice. For real advice, talk to a licensed financial planner or check moneysmart.gov.au. If this helped, hit subscribe. Thank you.